Hey guys, welcome back. Welcome back to another chair sketch video. This week, I thought I would do a chair inspired by Dieter Rams. I just saw the Dieter Rams documentary the other day, so let's get to it. Let's start brainstorming. I actually have some inspiration pulled up over here to the side. Just Googled Dieter Rams, and I actually think that some of his furniture would be interesting to kind of riff off of. This one's interesting. It's like a bunch of cylinders and things stacked up on top of each other. But oh, and then of course he has this chair. This is his famous piece of furniture. But yeah, let's get to it. He also has this like nice chair that kind of looks like this. And then leather cushion that goes like that. I do like this look. Just the horizontal quilted leather. I think that's a really cool look. Maybe we do something there. It was a great documentary. If you have a chance to see it, check it out. It's called Rams. It's by the same guy that did the Objectified and Helvetica documentaries. It really just kind of humanizes Rams. I kind of think that he's this almost like a godlike figure in design. And yeah, he's just a guy. Just a guy just trying to make great design. I almost kind of felt like it's almost that it wasn't like he was the one that created this amazing less but better kind of manifesto, like the 10 principles of design. He was just kind of like the first one to do it. This is kind of interesting here. Let's see. Kind of like this, where you would have like two pieces of sheet metal bolted on somehow, attached, and then they kind of curve over like that, maybe. Let me see what some of his other products look like. It's really simple. I mean, here, I'll show you guys too. Oh, this is interesting. Never seen that one before. I'm kind of curious if this is actually his. Here's the chair I was thinking of. Super simple. Ooh, this one's kind of cool. Orange. Yeah, there's something really like nice about that. Maybe I can mix it up with some sort of cleverness that I like to do. Ooh, what if this was clear? What if this was like a clear acrylic? And then we just bolted it onto the side like that. That's interesting. They did talk about that in the movie where he has this, let's see if I can find it here, record player. This record player, that's an illustration of it, but, oh, here we go. There's this record player, and this plexiglass top, they normally used metal for, but Dieter Ram said no metal because it will rattle when this music's playing. So he pushed for this new material, plexiglass. It was new at the time. So I mean, we could do it kind of a chair inspired by this. That'd be kind of cool, right? I mean, think if it had like wooden sides, just like so, and then just like a plexiglass. Plexiglass center. Also, feel free to comment. Let me know how these are working for you guys. I envision that you guys can kind of watch these videos and sketch at the same time. Maybe you're just working on homework. It's kind of like a visual podcast. Yeah, I'm always trying to figure out the best way to do this Patreon. So let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Oh, there's this one too. This is another famous design. This speaker with the simple metal legs. I mean, this one is kind of interesting. This wouldn't really be a Dieter Ram's piece of furniture. Like, he wouldn't design a piece of furniture like this. He would design it so that it was very simple. I'm kind of just riffing off of his aesthetic, and like it matches the design language, but doesn't match his philosophy, if that makes sense. What if it... could do one kind of like that speaker where it kind of comes up and does this. That's kind of interesting. I mean, I could kind of dig that. That's kind of cool. Like, what about, so you have the backrest here, the quilted look on it, and then metal bar comes down, comes across, a little piece comes up like this. It's kind of the combination of a few of his designs, but I still think it looks like a nice little chair. Kind of looks like a sled. I bet you could take this skiing down a slope. Plexiglass one's cool. This one's cool. I think this one's like the easy one, and this one is going to be a little bit more difficult with the plexiglass. So maybe we do this one just for fun. All right, let's commit to it. One thing I do when we're going to do the plexiglass is I'll come back here and reference some of these images and just plexiglass in general, because the edge of plexiglass is really interesting. It has like a lot of reflections and things like that. So we'll come back to that. But for now, let's get started. We'll do a 10 inch by 10 inch canvas. This is Procreate. All right. Oh, got to plug in my pencil here. Okay. Let's see how much it's charged. Okay, 41%. New layer. Let's get the rough lines down here. So we kind of had something like this. Give it some thickness to the wood here. I'm just gonna redo that. if I want to, I can kind of massage this box with the selection tool, you know, kind of make it taller or shorter. Changes the perspective a little bit, but if my perspective is kind of, if it's pretty solid to start off with, it really shouldn't affect much here. Alright, so I'm going to do a little curve on the top of there, come down at an angle, curve at the bottom, come up, and then I'm going to curve over like this, come across. So my chair is really too tall. The proportions are a little off right now, so maybe it needs to curve like right here, come across. I think it needs more like a lounge chair. Let me erase all this. 2-finger tap undo. Oh, I think I know what's wrong. I think it just needs to be like much longer. Like if I move this back a little bit, like that. It's always good to get the kind of the perspective right before you dive down into the details. Okay, I think this is looking a little bit better. So if we come back up here, put our top of the chair in somewhere right here. Curve it over, bring it down, curve it up, something like that. It still doesn't look. Maybe it should go back even farther. Okay, I think we're getting somewhere now. I'm a bit rusty. A little bit rusty in my perspective. Alright. Obviously, this is kind of imaginary. I'm just drawing it in just to feel out the rest of the concept here. Looks something like that. All right. Give this guy some thickness there. All right, let's make a new layer. Turn that opacity down to like, I don't know, 10%. Really light so it doesn't bother you. And then we'll throw down some darker lines here. I'm doing 2 little lines for any edge that you can see both sides of, and then the outline of something that the outline of any part should be much darker. Here's a little tip. If you want to make your corners kind of look rounded, come in here with your double edges and then just make a little curve. So you get like this kind of three cornered look here. Same with this edge too. Kind of bring this around. Small little detail. I do it really subconsciously now, but something I'll call out because that's what you guys are here for, right? Okay, we have our acrylic piece coming across here, just like that. I kind of imagine that the wood right here where this acrylic piece is like cut, like there's a groove here for the acrylic piece to fit in. So I'm not exactly sure how I'm gonna sketch that yet, but we'll get it in a second. Of course, if you want to use the straight line tool where you drag and hold, get some nice lines that way, if you're into that. I'll come down here on the back side. Okay, this is looking pretty good. This one's a pretty simple form. I mean, it's just like 2 boxes in perspective, and then we have this acrylic thing coming up, but it's definitely going to be a challenge doing the material for sure. All right, so I think let's put a little curve on here. I want to try to get this as circular as I can. A lot of Dieter Rams's products are, it's not, you know, he's not doing a ton of like curvature. It's more like using circles as his curves. All right, so then we come up here. Now, if there's a groove here, technically, it would cut into this wood piece, then come around like that. and the acrylic would come out the side just a little bit. I'm just drawing in a circle right there in perspective so that I can kind of accurately draw this curve here. I think that's fine. Let's come across. Cheat a little bit with the straight line tool. Of course, then we'll come down again into this wood piece here. Looks something like that. If we want to extend, see, this edge kind of extends a little bit farther, so I might just redraw this back piece of wood here. Or not redraw it, but take this and just move it back. Like that. Okay, draw in the edge of the acrylic here. So, since this is a really simple chair, I'm being meticulous with the details. If this is more conceptual, like it had a fun concept or was strung in a different way, then I would focus on that. But since this is like all about the acrylic and the wood and the interaction here, I'm being meticulous on this part. And then now on the back here, we're going to have some sort of see-through. We're going to see this edge somehow, but I'm not entirely sure how it's going to come out. So we'll see. This is kind of when I would go and look at some inspiration here to kind of figure out how these lines actually look. Like how does the back edge of a piece of acrylic look? Let's just say acrylic chair. Kind of can't see it. I think it's a little bit refracted. Essentially, it's bent in such a way that you can't really see the backside. I mean, It's tough to see on these images, but it's a good reference. Okay, let's keep working here. All right, so I'm going to come in here. Now I'm going to add in this groove here where the wood is cut out. I think for the purpose of this sketch, we're going to not really worry about the edge, mainly because we'll just put some highlights on it. It'll look like acrylic. We'll add in some kind of acrylic refracted effects, but trying to get that edge to look like acrylic is, you could do it, it's just maybe not worth the time. Now, this acrylic is going to be covering this back piece of wood. Now, I don't think that it would really cover it completely, but since it's a sketch, I think we should erase some of this. Just to kind of give it that clear look that we want. Okay, I'm going to go and turn off this back layer so we're not distracted. Just cleaning up the line work now. Let's just flip it right quick, see if it looks weird. Looks pretty good. I like to flip it just to check the perspective. And then we want to draw the inside of this groove right here, so. Something like this. We'll add in a contour line now. Go straight down. Come around. Up. And then down. Looks pretty centered, that's good. Now we're coming across here, this is clear, you're going to see the contour line on the other side. This helps give that acrylic a little bit of thickness too. And then let's put a contour line across the center of this too. This also helped define this groove here on the inside. I'm actually kind of curious if a chair like this has been done before, because it's a pretty simple idea, and I can imagine it's certainly someone's thought of it. It'd probably be a little bit difficult to make, but I'm actually going to take this back piece and just bring it in a hair. I think it's a little bit long. Something like that. Okay. Let's add in some layers here. So, we'll do our side view really quick. This one's going to be easy side view because it's just going to be a rectangle with a little bit of a acrylic coming out the top. Pretty simple. From the side, it actually doesn't look that cool. But another thing we could do if we wanted to is do like an exploded view, where you kind of have the two pieces of wood coming together and sandwiching the acrylic. But I think that'd be a little overkill. If there's like an action involved in making the chair, or if there's something kind of interesting about how it's made, I'll do like an exploded view or like a parts list. But I actually just put little feet on there just for fun. Okay, let's do a new layer. Get our gray out, hard airbrush, and then we're going to come in here and just start coloring in. I'm going to do these 3 pieces on separate layers so that we can adjust them later. Be definitely important for getting the acrylic correct. You know, when you do the transparent materials, you want to have separate layers so that you can adjust the transparency and things like that. Well, I might actually put both of the wood pieces on one layer. So I'll do this piece and then I'll do this piece back here. But the acrylic will be on its own layer. This is a little bit tough back here because I'm not exactly sure what the best method is for kind of fading out the lines in the back. I mean, I just erased it, but I guess I could have done like a separate layer for the line work. It's all kind of up in the air, really. There's probably a correct method, but if you wait around all day waiting for the correct method or trying to find it, you won't ever get anything done. All right, let's do a new layer for the acrylic piece, and I'm just going to make this a little bit lighter just so I can see the difference. Now what I could do for I think it's fine. I mean, I could make this a selection and build off of that, but it's really not really necessary because all I have to do is just do like one line right here and then come down here, do another line. Now I should put this layer on top of the wood layer here. Yeah, okay. So that I'm coming across this back piece here. There's probably a better way to fill in these gaps. You could probably use a selection tool. It's really up to you though. I always get a kick out of when I'm learning a new software and someone shows me, you know, you've learned a new software and you've been using it for a good amount of time, you know, a year or so, and you've kind of gotten into the groove and you know how everything works, or you know the method that you use to make it work, and then someone shows you this new trick in the software that speeds up your process by like half, and you're always like, whoa, how did I not know that? Those are always fun times. All right, let's do one for our mini sketch up here. This is pretty simple. I'm not going to separate the wood and the acrylic because, I mean, it's literally like just a little piece right here. Okay. Let's select our wood layer. Let's add some shadows and highlights to this guy. Come in here, choose a dark. Maybe switch over to the medium hard airbrush. I'm gonna make this dark. Let's do a lighter color here. Our light source is coming in from the front of the chair, so the front's gonna be lighter, but the top is gonna be the lightest. So I'll choose a white for that. Just kind of roughing it out right now. I'm not like trying to get it perfect, because I'll come back in here now with a smaller brush and kind of fill in, come halfway. I'm taking my smaller brush and drawing like halfway in between this little edge here, because it's curving over, right? There's like a little fillet. And you know, when I do that with a little bit less pressure, it gives that little bit of a radius look to it. Same thing on this side. Press and hold to select a color. Definitely useful and convenient. I'm going to turn this layer off so I can see the backdrop. Okay. I'm going to come in here and do some fine tweaking. So if I come in here with a smaller brush, I might choose like a medium airbrush. I can come around and, you know, theoretically you'll see this surface round over, so I'm going to just draw a little bit of a highlight on this edge here. Helps pop that edge out a little bit. Same with the back. And technically on the underside too, it's going to have a little highlight, because, you know, the light's coming through and it's hitting this ground. It's probably going to shine back up. Honestly, we should put a soft airbrush here on this underside, like that. Same over here. Just give that surface a little variation. Okay, come back in here, do the same. Let's come back to our medium airbrush. I don't want to go too light with it, you know, just like a dusting. This edge would be a little lighter, something like that. Turns like a normal flat rectangle into a much more a form that pops off the page much better. And then we should get even fancier here and come come in here, make this groove a little bit darker because it's not getting any light. Except it is going to get a little bit of highlight right on that outside edge here. You may or may not even see this piece, but for the purpose of the sketch, I think it's kind of important to show. Now it really kind of looks like it's indenting in there. Okay. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to come in here and I'm just gonna draw a quick little because this is see-through. It'll probably be something like that. You may not even see it because of the way the acrylic refracts, but for the purpose of the sketch, let's just go with it. Okay. Now let's do our acrylic here. This is a little bit harder because acrylic doesn't really have shadows on it. What I am going to do though is I'm just going to make sure that it's all white to start with here. Airbrush, and then to select a color here, you just click on the image and say select. It's going to come in here, fill this with white. I'm going to add in a little bit of lighting and shadow. Not because acrylic would actually have this, but for the purpose of giving the sketch some form, some understanding of what's going on. It's nice to have like a little bit of light and shadow in here. We will add in some harder highlights later. I'm going to add in like some edge to here. Like this. And then should I add in? No. Okay, so I'm shading this. Imagine if this was solid. So I'm going to shade it just like it's solid. So you wouldn't see the back part here. You might see a little highlight on the corner. Maybe we'll put that in here. Might see a little highlight there. Maybe a little highlight under here. Okay, now if I take this and I turn the opacity down, you can see that it has a transparent look now. And then we'll add in some details later, but for now let's just leave it like that. Make it like 25%. Let's quickly do some highlights and shadows on this guy up here. I'm actually going to do a texture wood instead of sketching in the wood this week. Put some highlights on this guy. Some shadows. So let's go to Google, let's grab some birch wood texture. Images. Let's click on high res, see what if anything comes up here. Obviously we don't want any watermarks, so make sure that, actually let's exit out of high res. That's not what I wanted. Oops. We want to do there's a place where I can edit the image size here. I'm not sure how to do it on the iPad. HD maybe? You can select like image file size. You can click large. That looks interesting, but it has watermark on it. Let's keep looking here. This one? Is this one a good resolution? It doesn't look like it. What about this guy? Nope, he has watermark. We'll find one eventually. I should really just save them. I also want one that the grain is not so big. I mean, this one is nice, but I feel like it's a little bit too close, like close up. I need to zoom out a little bit. This was not bad either. I'm going to search plywood. I searched birch because Dieter Rams used birch a good bit. But, you know, it's just a matter of coloring the image. We can adjust that. Let's do plywood texture. Man, I'm not really coming up with anything great. I'm sure this isn't apologies for me just scrolling through Google Images. I'm sure you guys can skip ahead if you need to. Ooh. This one looks pretty good. Hey, it's birch plywood. That's exactly what we need. Alright, let's go back to Procreate. I'm gonna just come over here with a Safari window so I can just pull this in. See, the nice thing about this specific texture here is it has some nice grain direction to it that I like. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go to adjustments, and I can change the curves, make it a little bit more contrasty, maybe a little lighter. Something like that. I'm going to duplicate it. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to make a side texture here on this front corner. Erase this a little bit. All right, do it again. Actually, I'll just leave it. The top doesn't need another grain. I didn't want the grain to continue around the side because it doesn't look natural. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take these layers and just merge down. But I got to do this other side too. So I'm going to come over here. Let's just erase this a bit. So if we say select, I think I can also invert selection here. And then just come in here with a big eraser. Erase all that. All right, same thing over here. Kind of align, make sure you align the grain with the wood, or with the rectangle here. And let's duplicate it. Come in here and find a nice kind of wood grain that we like. Something like that. Oh, my eraser's too big. And then same thing, let's merge it down. Merge down and merge. Actually, let me just duplicate this one more time over on this side because we want to do the top. The top mini sketch up here. Okay, so now we can merge this down. Just like that. Select this again. Let me invert selection and erase. All right, so we have our wood now. We have our wood textured in there. I dig it. It's like, it's subtle, it's realistic. And then we can use our, oops, I just merged that, undo. We can use our multiply tools to add in our shading layer. Do an overlay. Do a color burn as well, and then just adjust these so they look natural. Color burn's really high. Overlay, turn the overlay down a bit. Yeah, I think that's looking good. Okay. I'm just gonna quickly take this guy. I'm just gonna kind of cheat and just put the wood texture in line with the top of that. And if we select this and invert selection, I could also mask. That's another way to do it. It's just make a mask, but it's, you know, potato. Whatever works. Sometimes it's just like easier just to do something than than trying to figure out the most efficient way to do it. I mean, if you have time, you can experiment. Okay. I'm also going to just add in some feet. It's kind of hard to see, but I mean, that's all I needed to do right there. Okay. So now we got to make this acrylic look a lot more realistic, because right now it's just some sort of clear ghosted thing. So let's come in here, let's add a new layer. I'm gonna just go ahead and select this, and let's take some of this dark color here. And I believe if we look at some references here, let's just click it. Let's do bent acrylic. We can kind of see that. Where's a good image? This one. Like, we can kind of see that there's like striations going on here, some highlights, some darks. So let's try to add some of that into our sketch. Definitely on the edges, you can see that highlights are really popping through. So if we go back here, so I'm just on a new layer right now. I'm just gonna start trying to make this acrylic look more natural here. I mean, one thing is for sure, that there's probably gonna be some sort of wait, am I on a new layer? Oh, let's make sure we're on the new layer here. Oh, hang on. There we go. Okay. Probably some sort of curving thing going on right here, and then underneath here we're gonna see some darker lines for sure. Something like that, but maybe not all the way. Maybe it's oh, what happened? Oh, my eraser's really big. That's right. Maybe it's like just a highlight, but back in this side it comes back again. I mean, I'm just kind of putting in highlights and shadows and things, and there's not necessarily a method to the madness except for trying to make it look like acrylic. It definitely kind of feels that, like, if we look, oops, if we look back at this, it seems like any edge in the backdrop seems to be pretty dark. Like, you can see a dark line right there. I mean, there is a refraction to it, so you don't actually see that back edge, but I mean, maybe we could add that in here. Like, if we something like that. I think that looks pretty good. We'll have another dark line come in here, bottom. And then, I mean, honestly, like all in here is going to be dark. Let's just multiply this. Well, let's think a little bit more. Maybe there's some sort of sometimes it's just like doing squiggly lines. Gives you the effect of yeah, the edge looks a little better now. That looks good. I think we got to do some highlights. That's what we should do next. So let's come in here. Let's do another layer. Select this again. Come in here with some white. And get some highlights going in here. Make sure you select a new layer. Yeah, this looks good. Oh, what we could do, we could always do the classic, like, kind of like just a slash. Slashes always are highlighty, look like highlights. Like do one hard edge, just going across like that, and then we can do like a soft airbrush that leads up to that edge. Something like that. And then we can come in here and with an eraser kind of curve this around, this highlight around, make it look like that. How does that look? Looks a little better. Not entirely like acrylic, but let's see if we do like an overlay. I'm just gonna put some different things here. Ooh, color dodge. Color dodge doesn't look bad. Maybe I'll do a little bit of color dodge, duplicate that, and then just do normal on top. All right, then let's keep layering up the layers here. I'm going to do another layer of highlights, just massaging it again. I think there should be a highlight down here too. Let's see what happens if I erase this area here. Because theoretically, like, if you're looking at this corner, you're going to see this edge. if you're looking at this, it's probably going to kind of come down like this. I mean, there's not really a method to adding these highlights in. I honestly just try to think through it, you know, like if you're looking at this, then the reflected piece is going to look up here. You know, it's kind of trial and error, honestly. But it's looking pretty good. I think I'm going to take this one and multiply. Yeah. Is that what I needed? Do I want to multiply that, or do I want to just make it normal? I want to make it a little bit normal. What if we color burn this instead? I mean, that's looking not decent. I mean, not bad. It's looking decent. Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty pleased with that, how that acrylic looks. Let's just look at our reference again. See if there's anything. I mean, there's some more reflections we could add. Let's look back at this, see if we can add any more reflections in here. I mean, maybe there's a little bit for wood, like a wood reflection. So if we just duplicate this, let's just drag this up to here. And, you know, add this thing in here. We'll select this layer, invert selection. Oops. Let's just erase all this here. You know, we're going to see this reflection here, so, you know, it's probably going to look something like this. And then we would see this reflection too, kind of coming up here. Well, I guess it would be more of like an edge right here. Now we can just change the opacity down a little bit on that, just to, does that look good? Having that reflection in there. I can't tell if it looks more realistic with it or without it. I think I kind of like it without. I'm gonna just take it off. It's worth a shot. You never know how these things turn out. Okay. Let's just say it looks good. I mean, I think it looks good enough for the sketch. There's a little white piece right here. Let me get rid of. All right. Let's next step. Let's go up here to this guy and sketch a quick little bit of reflections going on here. Yeah, it's whatever. It looks fine, I think. Okay. I'm going to add in some final highlights to the wood, just to give it that extra layer of pop. Kind of like what we were doing with the acrylic piece, but not as in-depth or drastic. I feel like adding these highlights really just kind of pops out the sketch a lot more. This is not really where highlights go. It's just like, it just needs to jump out at you a little more. All right, let's add in the shadow here because our chair is floating in space. New layer. Get our ink, our ballpoint pen out. The shadow will also help do this. Let's make sure that we add in a little bit of a little bit of height to this, because it's standing up on like little pads or something. I mean, honestly, we can just sketch them in like that. I think that's like a nice little addition. I'd say this is looking somewhat like a Dieter Rams-ish chair. I mean, it's like Dieter Rams plus me, plus my chair sketch ideas. All right, I'm just going to group these guys so it's a little easier to move around. Group these guys up here. Oh, actually, I need to take this layer, put this in this group. Okay. Let's make this a little bit bigger here. Something like that. All right. I think I might do 2 shadows. I've never done 2 shadows, but I think the shadow will help make this acrylic piece stand out a bit first going to do this area here. I think maybe if we just do like a lighter kind of shadow, I think this will be sufficient. Something like that. Okay. It's time to add in a vignette box to this sketch. I think this will be a good chance to come into this acrylic and give it a bit of distortion here. I'm just moving these around. I want the vignette box to kind of come so that the lines don't intersect with any crucial points in the sketch. It's kind of close right here, so I want to bring it down a little bit, but I also don't want to go right here. So somewhere in the middle of those two areas is where I want to go. I can also just drag this out a little bit, give that edge some more room. Oops. Yeah, I think that looks better. And then let's make this a little bit bigger. Take this guy, just move him up. I actually might just make this one a little bit bigger too. And then the whole thing needs to move down a bit, a tad. Just like that. Okay. Let's take our eraser and erase this line, our vignette box, and then come into here erase that for sure. Erase this for sure. And then I kind of think this line should be a little bit warped. So maybe just erase it all together. Then come in here and I think it's going to go straight. Let's undo. I think it's going to go straight And then as it comes up this edge, it's gonna kind of warp like that. And then it's gonna kind of come down like that. Let's also just select this right quick. I'm just gonna, oh, let me select it again. Instead of erasing it, I'm just gonna cut it and paste it. That puts it on a new layer, and I'm just gonna turn the opacity down. I feel like that gives it a little bit of distortion. I don't know, maybe, I feel like if I start distorting this, I should start distorting this area. So maybe I'll just undo all that. Sorry guys, I just misled you there. But I'll still do that little edge adjustment here. Like this. Come in here and erase this now. Oops. Let's do like yeah, okay. That looks good. Do some callouts here. We'll say this is birch. Birchwood. Come up here. Bent acrylic. Quickly adjust these guys. And that's a wrap on another chair sketch, guys. Thanks for watching again, and feel free to comment. Let me know what you guys liked. If you did a chair sketch or any sketch really that you sketched while watching this video, I would love to see it. Send me a sketch that you did inspired by the tutorial, or you can post it on the Patreon community page. I kind of want to try that out, see how that's going. But yeah, thank you guys.